Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and today I'm going to be reviewing and looking back at the Nintendo new 2DS XL. So long story short, I had an original 3DS, loved it very much, wanted a new 3DS XL, couldn't really afford it, didn't really see that I'd use the 3D very much, and a 2DS XL came up locally for a very reasonable price, so I snapped it up. I am now the proud owner of a new 2DS XL. This is the black and lime version. It is absolutely superb. I love the massive XL screens. I love the design of it. I'm glad that they went back to the clamshell design over the old original 2DS. It's got all the bells and whistles that the new 3DS has got, so it's got the extra buttons here, the additional sort of C stick there, and obviously the extra processing power. So if anybody is looking at getting into the 3DS, 2DS market, if 3D doesn't bother you, then this is an absolutely superb console to go with. That really is it. It's a Nintendo console. It plays all 3DS games, all DSi and all DS games. So you've got a huge catalogue that you can play, and the only thing that is missing from the 3DS XL is the 3D part. Everything else is there. That's my little quick short review. I want to touch on a few points that I've seen in other people's reviews, and now that I've got my own and I've used it for a little while, just to address some of those. So the first one is the build quality. People are saying that it is a sort of cheap and flimsy and it's not going to last. I totally disagree. Nintendo do not make poor quality handhelds, and this is no exception. The hinge is great, the buttons are fantastic, the whole frame and the screens just feel absolutely premium quality. For me, build quality is great. The second point is battery life. There are people complaining that sort of 6-7 hours is not great for battery life. Considering the extra horsepower under the new 3DS and the new 2DS, 6-7 hours is about right. It's by no means the best portable console for battery, but it's by no means the worst either. I can live with that. That's a whole evening of playing before you have to charge it up again. So for me, battery life is pretty good. Now the larger screens, like I say, I had an original 3DS and I was looking for something with the XL because the screens are larger, and they are a lot larger, 90% larger apparently. One issue you have there is that the resolution is the same, so making that almost twice as large, you stretch the pixels a little bit, and a lot of people are just saying that it makes the games look horrible and kind of unplayable. Yes, you can notice it a little bit, but I would go with a larger screen with a slightly pixelated look, and I'm talking very slightly, over a tiny 3-inch screen. So for me, the screen being stretched is not a huge problem. Another point is that it's got poor sound and poor speaker placement, and that's another point that I utterly disagree with. I find that the volume of it is fantastic, and I have no issues with the volume. The sound quality is pretty good for a little handheld console, and the fact that the speakers are placed here and here do not cause an issue. They're on the where your palms would go, and some people say, oh, I'm covering it up with my palms. I haven't had that issue. Another point that I totally disagree with. So that's some of the downsides that people have complained about. Let's look at some of the plus sides. The design of it itself is a plus side. It's absolutely superb. It's got lovely rounded edges. It's got this slightly corrugated top. The colour scheme and the layout of the colours is great. I like the fact that the SD card and the game slot is now, it's under a little flap. I didn't really have an issue with them being on the back. They put them under this flap here because apparently you can knock the cartridges out, which I've never ever done on a DS. Some of the other new, I think the new 3DS has the micro SD slot actually underneath the bottom of the DS itself, so you have to take that off to get it. So I quite like the fact that it's there, and I do quite like the fact that it's all covered up and it's just gives it a nice look. Other than that, there is not much else to talk about. If you are in the market, you want to have a 3DS or a new 3DS and you're not really interested in the 3D function, then I would go with this. I've used my 3D function on my 3DS a handful of times. You can save a lot of money by just going down the 2DS route. You could even pick up an original 2DS for next to nothing. If you're not really into the whole clamshell design, or you wanted something extremely cheap. But for me, the extra horsepower, the clamshell design, the whole sleekness of it, and the extra buttons really make this probably the best version of the 3DS, 2DS range that you could get. I highly recommend it. So that's just my quick review and look back at the new Nintendo 2DS, or even the Nintendo new 2DS XL, released in 2017, and like I say, it was the last version of the 2DS, 3DS line to be released before they moved over fully to the Switch. So there you go, I'm very, very happy. This 2DS XL, new 2DS XL, is absolutely superb. I hope you liked that review and look back. Like, link, subscribe to my channel, enjoy.